For this video, I tagged myself. What can I say? I'm a rebel sometimes. Hey everyone, Fina here from Fina Reads. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. Today I'm sharing a tag video with you, which is specifically the Postscript Tag video. That is going around right now because it seems to be some sort of year-end type of tag. And well, I just tagged myself because I liked the prompts so much that I wanted to go through them myself. I saw this video over on Madison's channel. I link her video down below, but I've seen it a couple of times over the last weeks and days. So I'll just hop right on in and talk a little bit about the books that I've read over the last year and go through the questions one by one. The first question is kind of a two-part question. It's one, the longest book that you've read, and then the book that took you the longest to finish. So for the longest book that I've read, that was Winterlight by Kristen Britton, which was 800 some odd pages. First of all, this is book 7 in the Green Rider series, the currently last available book in the series, not going to be the last book in the series. There's at least one more that we have to consider, but we did a Green Rider read-along on my channel this year. And as I said, this was the last book in the series that we've read. This was the second time that I read this actually. And then the book that took me the longest to read is A Taste of Golden Iron by Alexandra Rowland. I'm trying to do that without a glare because I have the gorgeous broken binding edition and I have that wrapped in one of those, protection thingies. And that was actually a recommendation from Sarah by Fairy Reads. She was hyping this up like there's nothing else. And since she and I have a very, very similar reading taste, I just picked it up and, went for it and ordered the Broken Binding edition. And I loved it. It's a slow burn romance. It is advertised as a fantasy book, but there's not much fantasy in there. It's really more about the relationship between the two main characters and how they slowly are getting closer and get more familiar with each other and trust each other. And it's beautifully written. And the reason why it took me so long to read this is not because the book is bad or anything or because it is so slow. It was just a really busy month at work and I didn't feel like reading a lot. So I only read like 2-3 pages a day. So it took me an entire month to read this book essentially, but it was phenomenal. Question number 2 is a book you read this year that was outside your comfort zone, and that was Blood Dazzler, which is a set of poems about Hurricane Katrina. And I don't read poems. Like literary fiction and stuff like that is not necessarily my thing. I don't think I'm set to appreciate colorful language like this. To a degree, I like this. Don't get me wrong. I like descriptive language, but if it gets just like prosy, purpley, that's just, I don't know. I don't get like reading between the lines and understanding meaning behind the thing. I'm just not cut out for that. Anyway, so I read Blood Dazzler, which was a book that was included in the first traveling book box that I organized. And Stephanie from Miss Richard Reads actually put that in there, and it ended up with me as the last stop. And I was kind of scared about it, but then at one point this year I said, you know what, I'll just give it a try. I have the book here. What do I have to lose, right? And I really enjoyed, not all of the poems, I have to say, but I really enjoyed a lot of them. And I enjoyed how certain things were phrased and how she was sharing her experience from what happened back then with Hurricane Katrina, and it encouraged me to look into other poem books. So since then I bought 2 more that I haven't started yet, but I mean, that's a whole different problem. And that was really exciting. Question number 3 is, how many books did you reread? So far, and I don't think there will be anything else that I'm going to reread for the rest of the year, that was 10. And that is, as I said earlier, the Green Rider read-along. So that's 7 books that I reread in that series. And then I reread 2 King books. I had a whole read-along thing with Jake from the Bookish Drummer where we read all the Richard Bachman books together, 1 each month, and 2 of those I've read prior to our read-along. And then the last book that I read just recently is The Fellowship of the Ring. So I read book 1 earlier this month, and I've read that before it was a long time ago in my teen years, essentially. So I finally picked it up again. And then question 4 is about my favorite reread of the year. So out of those 10 books, what was my favorite? And that was hands down Mirror Side from Kristen Britton. This is book 5 in the Green Rider series. I'm sorry. There will be a point where we'll stop talking about Green Rider in every single frickin' video that I'm doing, starting next year probably. It's just, the read along happened. So book 5 is my favorite in the series, and it was definitely the favorite of all the rereads that I did, because this book gets me through all the emotions. This is such a great installment in a series, and every time I read it, or when I reread it, I'm just reading more about it, and I'm seeing more things, and I'm seeing more connections, and it's just so devastating. And I'm not someone who cries easily in books. This book, no matter how, I know how it ends, and I've read it like 3 or 4 times by now. I know exactly how it ends, and still I'm sitting here, waterfalls. Question 5. So a book you read for the first time that you look forward to rereading, and it's not just one book, it's an entire series that I'm really looking forward to rereading, and that is the Last Gift series by Allegra Pescatore, where book 1 is Where Shadows Lie, and I'm showing you the cover of the book that I have here, but this is the current cover, so she changed the covers, and I love the second cover. So eventually I might replace this, although this book is signed, so I wouldn't replace it. I would just add it to my collection. But Where Shadows Lie is currently, or the first arc is a trilogy, and it is part of a much bigger universe. So she has currently 3 series started that all belong to the same universe. So you have some crossover for the different series. So when I started with Where Shadows Lie, I thought it's just a, maybe a bit younger fantasy series that is written in modern language. And I loved it just for that. And I loved the main character. I loved the side characters. I loved the story that they went through. And the more I read on in the series, the more things opened up for me. And the more you realized what the series is actually about, and that it is not at all what you think it is at the very beginning. And what I want to do now is read the other books of the other series and then go back and read it all again, so I can actually see some things that I definitely have missed now in my first read. Question number 6 is about my favorite single short story or novella that you read this year. And that was also a recent one, which is Zoo by A.C. Cross. It's a short ebook. I think it's like 40 somewhat pages that I accidentally stumbled over while I was like going through Discord. I'm not even 100% sure anymore, but I think I found it somewhere on Discord. It's a view into A.C. Cross's mind, and he is basically comparing his struggles with mental health that he has with a zoo. So he takes you on a tour through his zoo of mental health struggles that he has. And I thought it was so well done. First of all, I'm incredibly appreciative of him to open up like this and show others what's going on in his mind and what he's dealing with. And then I thought it was just so well done. Yeah, it was just a great book. I mean, it's 40 pages. You have nothing to lose. Just go check it out. Go buy this ebook. It is just incredible. And it left me, even till today, it has been 2 months now that I have read it. Till today, I'm sitting there and thinking how amazing it was and how much thought it provoked for me. And with how many things I could relate. It was like, oh, thank you for putting it out there and for phrasing it the way you did, because it made me feel not as alone in certain cases. And just generally, I think it's just a brilliant way to talk about mental health struggles or mental health issues, however you want to phrase it. And I'm so grateful for A.C. Cross finding the courage to put it out there for others to read. The next 2 questions I find actually really interesting. So question number 7 is mass appeal, a book you liked and would recommend to a wide variety of readers. And then question 8 is a specialized appeal, a book you liked but would be hesitant to recommend to just anyone. I find those 2 questions very, very interesting, and those 2 actually make me think about, because I feel sometimes my taste is a bit off compared to what the hype is out there. So I really had to think about this, but I think I picked 2 books that fit this question really well. And one of them is, so for the mass appeal, I pick An Alchemy of Mask and Mirrors, which is book 1 in the Risen Kingdom series by Curtis Craddock. And that was such a surprise find. Like, I found those books forever ago. Like, you get them really cheap on Book Outlet as paperback or as hardback. And then Leslie from the Nerdy Narrative, she read book 1 at one point and was ecstatic. She yelled basically from the rooftop and told everybody to read it. That was the moment where I remembered I actually have this book on my shelves. So I picked it up and I was as blown away as she was. And then I told Sarah about it from Fairy Reads, and she was as blown away as Leslie and I were. And then we had an impromptu read along going on, and we had Kate Coy and a couple of other people start reading the series, and it's brilliant. I'll link Sarah's review of the entire series down below so you get an idea of what it is about. But the main character, I fell in love with her. She is so brilliantly written. Her guardian and the relationship that they have, which is more like a father-daughter relationship versus a romantic relationship. So I really appreciated that as a unique item in this book. And this is also a book where the writing just blew me away. And I know I said earlier, I'm not a big fan of purple flowery prose. It has like the beginnings of that, but it's not like, if you think about A Darkness That Comes Before, very purpley, not at all like this. He's just so great with picking specific words to set a scene and constructing a sentence to set a scene that you're just sitting there is like, wow, this is gorgeous. Incredible. And this, we all had this effect with this series, that we were sitting there and just were blown away because we haven't heard anyone talk about this before. And it's just such a gem. So if you want to read a book with airships, light steampunk elements in here, but where the main thing really is a character that doesn't have an easy life, how she makes her stand, how she struggles, like she's not perfect. She definitely runs into issues. She has to fight for keeping her sanity and whatnot, and for some great friends that she meets along the way, and just how, everything I'm telling you is so good about this book that I just think a lot of people would love this, and a lot of people would find something in here that they can easily enjoy. And then for the specialized appeal, where I think this book might not be for everyone, but that I keep recommending for everyone to at least try the first book to see if it is something for them, that would be The Wolf of Orignaro by K.S. Veloso, who is, as the other books that I mentioned before, now a new favorite author of mine. I binge read the first series, which is The Chronicles of the Bleep Queen, because otherwise if I say the actual word, YouTube will, not rank my video anyway. But I read the series and I was similar to The Alchemy of Mask and Mirrors. I was just blown away by that. So I bought the second series. I joined the Kickstarter for another series in the same world. And I was just so blown away by that. It was so well done. This is, again, about a strong female character that goes against the odds and fights against just a system that is set against her. And the reason, generally, it's a great fantasy story. It's a really fantastic world that she built and that she set up. It's some great characters. The reason why I think it is a special appeal is, so you're following the perspective of Queen Talion, who is the main character in the series throughout all 3 books. And she is very descriptive with her thoughts, and there is things you learn from the past. So throughout her story, she basically talks you through her thoughts and through her experience, and she tells you stuff from her past. She tells you what she thinks about the future. She thinks just a lot about what's happening around her and how to go against kind of the stones that are put in her way. And there's just a lot of thinking, a lot of contemplating, and a lot of kind of maneuvering the political waters. And if that's not something that you like, this book will not appeal to you and you will be bored out of your mind. And that's why I think if this is something for character-driven readers, this is something for people who really want to know the motivation of a character and really want to dig deep into why is this character the way it is and why does she make decisions the way she does. So that's where I think this book really, really shines. And then question number 9 is about general reflection. So reflect on your year as a bookish content creator, goals met, good bad memories, favorite videos you made, etc. One of the things that I definitely realized is I had great plans going into 2022, and I actually looked at my video series that I made during the switch of the year with, anticipated reads, series that I want to tackle, like that kind of stuff. And what I realized is that I'm not great with following up on those goals that I made. I'm way too much of a mood reader. And out of the, I think 22 books and I don't know how many series that I said I want to read and want to attempt, if I attempted 10% of that, so that was a terrible result. That's definitely a learning for me. So I'm not going to do books that I want to read in 2023 because essentially it's everything that I have laying around that hasn't been read yet. So I'll continue with my mood reading streak. Also that I then have a chance to just, if I see, someone is reading a book that I find interesting, I can read it together with them and then talk with them about it. Because that's the aspect that I definitely loved the most over the last year, is the just talking with all of you, talking with people on Discord, reading books together. That's something that I definitely want to continue going forward. I do not just want to have videos where I just talk at the camera at you. I want to figure out a way to have more interaction because that's the part that I enjoy the most. And then the other thing that I have to just be more careful about, all you amazing booktubers out there, or all you people who get always way excited about your books and share that with me, I am so easily influenced. It is ridiculous. The moment someone says, I love this book, I'm looking it up and throw it on my wish list or buy it immediately, depending. With the whole hype situation, I have to take a step back. It's like, yes, I'm excited that you love it. I don't have to buy it immediately. But besides that, I just had a lot of fun the last year. The ability to just, again, interact with you was so much fun. Reading your comments, talking with you on Discord, interacting with you on other social media. That's really why I'm doing this. It's not to grow to exponential sizes or anything. It's really just to be able to get some thoughts out and talk about books, the stuff that we love. So that's why I'm incredibly grateful that there are people out there that are actually watching my video. Thank you. That's, I guess, I want to say at the end of the day, because without you, if no one would watch my video, there's no point in me doing this. So here we are. Thank you. And then we have one more question, which is tag some fellow bookish content creators. And because I went rogue and just did it without being tagged, I'm giving you the opportunity now to do that. Even if you don't have a booktube channel, you can do this thing on Instagram as well and make it maybe a series on Instagram or in Book Talk or whatever your social media of choices. You know what I mean. So, or you can just tell me in the comments if you don't want to do anything on social media. You can also let me know in the comments what your answers to those individual questions would be. I would love to hear that. If you like what you were hearing besides the rambling, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. I really appreciate that. And then I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you soon with my next video. Bye.